Welcome back to season 1 of Snubs and Dubs, where we're talking the Snubs and Dubs of the 69th Academy Award for Best Picture. I'm your host, Kyle Tobiasson, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Miller. Jason, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going great. There's magic Christmas merriness in the air. It's like the 23rd. So it's like, it's a good, happy time.
I think by the time people are listening to this, it's New Year's. So happy New Year's,
happy
everybody.
New Year, everyone.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions this year that you're just clamoring at to check off a list?
You know what? Tell us them right now. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. That sounds amazing. Wow. I bet you can do it.
You'll get that.
Yeah, I hope it was a short one, though. I didn't give you much time.
But did you watch anything this week? I have a suspicion that you did because we talked about some stuff and we saw some movies together, actually.
I did watch some stuff. Some of it we watched together. Indeed, we watched Nightmare Alley together.
We did see Nightmare Alley.
That was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun world. Like the scene setting was really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the name of the guy? The main actor?
Bradley Cooper.
I for some reason that pulled out in time. He was good in it. I really liked his character.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the arc. I'd say like the ending wasn't super surprising.
No.
But it was still like really well, like it really brought you the whole way around to get there, that I really enjoyed the journey that we, the audience, went on.
Me too. I agree. I think everyone did a really good job. I think some people, they didn't get enough. Like Rooney Mara's character, she was his girlfriend, and for the most part, she didn't have like the greatest arc other than to be like, you know, oh, I don't want to be with you. Oh, actually, I do want to be with you. Oh, now I'm sad being with you. And I don't think because I know she's a great actress and I've seen her do like a lot of good things, but I don't know if she had the most to work with. Whereas everyone else, like even like Willem Dafoe.
Oh, Willem Dafoe.
Every time he was on screen, I was just fucking glued.
Oh, he is such a great carnival maestro.
Yeah. Cate Blanchett, who plays his psychiatrist and kind of the femme fatale character. She was great.
She was really good. Yeah.
I liked, oh my God, what's his name? Ron Perlman in his like small role as her, like his girlfriend's kind of protector and the big strong man. Yeah. And Toni Collette was also good in that as the person he goes to like have a bath with and then stays at her house and like learns mentalism stuff from.
Oh yeah. They were also like that pair was really good.
Yeah.
Cause like his girlfriend, Molly, like her name was Molly.
Yeah, her name was Molly, yeah.
I could have used more of her, but like I also feel like this movie could have been a little bit longer. I still had more in the tank. Like if they wanted to make this another like 10, 15 minutes and it could get some building out of that, I'd be there for it. I'd be in.
Me too, because I'm interested in like the transitionary period too, because they go from like them being at this like low key kind of scummy carnival to them basically selling out shows to high elite people.
Yeah.
And like I would have been interested in seeing that kind of transition to like see them like work their way up and have that sort of that climb to fame. But obviously for the context of like this movie, that's not the more important bit.
Yeah. Like it's not the end of the world that they cut that. But yeah, like I would have been willing to see how they got there. And I think they could have built that relationship a bit more too with that. Even
in like a little montage or something, because it literally hard cuts. They leave the carnival to they're successful.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, so. But overall, I would recommend.
Oh, I'd definitely recommend. Yeah. That was a really enjoyable movie.
And I think if you like Guillermo del Toro, I struggle to say that.
That's as close as you can
get. His style really shines here. I think he creates a really cool world.
Yeah, no, it was great.
What else did you watch?
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
I've been on the Spider train. Great. I only was able to watch the 2 Tom Holland ones, so I didn't get the full
Far From Home.
Yeah, Homecoming, Far From Home. I really enjoyed Homecoming. I thought that was a really fun, delightful Spider-Man movie. I was kind of cold and Far From Home. I didn't think it was great.
No?
No. I felt like the charm, like I went right back to back. Like one movie ended, I went and made some soup and then I watched the other one while I was eating my soup.
Yeah.
So it was back to back. And I felt like Homecoming, just because it was kind of stronger, just kind of like made Far From Home like not as enjoyable in comparison. Because I feel like they tried to do the same like notes in Far From Home and just didn't quite do it as well as Homecoming. But both good movies. I really liked Homecoming, and I thought that Far From Home was just like, it was good. Yeah. It was fine.
And you still haven't seen the other Spider-Man movies. So these are your first Spider-Man movies except for Into the Spider-Verse, which is a good Spider-Man movie.
Oh, that's a great Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. I really like Homecoming as well. There's one scene, it's been out for a while, so I'm going to spoil a little bit. But when Michael Keaton realizes that Peter Parker is Spider-Man in that car, and even like the scene before that when Peter shows up at Liz's house and he opens the door and you're like, holy fuck.
Shit. Yeah, I had that moment too where I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was really well done.
Yeah. And then like the line, he's like, good old Spider-Man. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Really that was really
scene.
good.
Yeah.
And I get to go see the third one, No Way Home. I'm watching that one tonight in like 5 hours. So
cool.
I'm excited. I really squashed this trio into like under 12 hours. No, maybe like 24 hours. Under 24 hours for sure.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
I'm very excited to see what you think as somebody who's only now seen the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Because there's like I've said in the last time, I also saw it again on Tuesday with fam.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like a lot of elements from previous Spider-Man movies that like if you're not in the loop, you're not going to really grasp it.
I did go on the Spider-Man ride at Universal Parks, so I feel like I'm up to speed.
Oh yeah, you're covered. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you got it all down.
What have you been watching, Kyle? What's been on your plate this week?
Other than the two I just mentioned, Nightmare Alley and Spider-Man No Way Home Again, I watched Arthur Christmas.
Oh,
which is like an animated movie. We watched it on Netflix. It's about this like lineage of Santa Clauses.
It's not about like Arthur the cartoon animal looking thing.
No.
Okay. Well, I was like, why?
No.
Okay, this makes more sense.
No, it's about like there's like Santa, and then like his dad was Santa at one point, and then like his son is expecting to be Santa, and Arthur is like his second son who's like not really expecting to be Santa. Kind of like a hierarchy, like a monarchy sort of thing. And so it's just about Santa misses one kid, and Arthur is like, well, you can't just like miss one kid because that'll ruin the spirit of Christmas for them, you know? And so they have to kind of go and have a little journey to figure out how to get this one present to this one kid. And it was sweet.
Oh, that's cute.
But it was, I don't know if it was like recommending worthy.
Yeah.
It was like fine to watch, but I don't know if there was like enough there that I would be willing to recommend it over like other Christmas movies.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I love the idea of some like God anointed blood lineage of Santa Clauses. It's kind of like in your first grade class when you have like the class animal and it's been alive for like 50 years and because like it dies, but we just replace it before the kids even notice. And it's been Santa Claus. Like, no, it's been one Santa Claus for hundreds of years. And it's like, no, they just die and they have a kid. But where did they bring all the Mrs. Clauses from?
I don't know. There was only one Mrs. Claus, and it was the one that was with the current Santa Claus.
Oh my God.
And
what does that mean, Kyle? What is this? How do we reproduce Santa Clauses?
I don't know. Maybe it's like you haven't seen the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies, but in Tim Allen's Santa Claus 2, he basically starts to like revert back to normal Tim Allen because he has to find a Mrs. Claus. Otherwise he loses his Santa powers. Oh. And so maybe that's a thing. Maybe they have to go out in the real world and, you know, be bachelors, Santa bachelors trying to get a Mrs. Claus and then lure them back to the North Pole and completely throw their life away so that they can be.
No, that's the Christmas movie we need.
Just produce the Santa heir. Like,
Hallmark, call us. We have a movie for you.
Yeah, so interesting nonetheless. I also just finished Hawkeye season 1.
Ooh,
is that wrapped up?
Heard it was a good finale.
It was good. Mm-hmm. I kind of maybe had a softer spot for it because like Hawkeye is one of my favorite Avengers, which is strange because he's not like anyone's favorite Avenger.
He kind of sucks.
Yeah,
he's kind of a nerd.
And like it's based off a comic series, loosely based off a comic series that I like really like from the early 2010s. And so that made me happy. And I liked Cate. She was a cool addition. But my biggest sort of joys came out of it was Cate and Yelena. Mm-hmm. Did you see Black Widow?
No.
Okay, that's fine. But in Black Widow, you meet Black Widow's younger sister, who is going to be just new Black Widow, I think.
The blood lineage of Black Widows as well.
But they kind of like start hanging out. Not really hanging out. Yelena comes to like kill Clint, but Cate and Yelena have like this relationship that was just like, it was fire. It was like, I want to see more of those two together. And I mean, slight spoilers for Hawkeye season 1. So skip ahead 1 minute if you don't want to hear this. But 3, 2, 1, the Kingpin from the Daredevil series shows up.
Oh, dang.
At the end. And yeah, he's so fucking good. I love this character. And like, I'm so happy that they're bringing him back in
Kingpin's like the big thick boy, right?
Yeah, big thick boy.
Oh, I
and he
love
is
that concept.
extra thick in this
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, he gets like hit by a car. He gets like an arrow shot at him, and he just like fucking whacks it out of his body.
Oh
like,
my god,
it's great shit.
I love it.
And yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. So if you've seen the finale and you saw what happens, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Ooh, we got more thick boy shit coming up season 2.
And the last thing that I saw, other than the movie that we're going to talk about today, was last night at a very late hour because Spider-Man No Way Home took up all the IMAX screenings except for 11:30 a.m. or 10:30 p.m. But Molly and I saw The Matrix Resurrections last night.
Nice. What thoughts? Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts. I think it's about as good as the sequels, which is to say it's not as good as the first one.
Yeah.
It has this sort of a meta commentary early on about like, because from what I gather, Warner Brothers wanted to just reboot The Matrix or restart The Matrix with or without the Wachowskis.
Oh, well, what?
Yeah. And so
why?
Lana Wachowski was just like, okay, well, like, I guess I'll do it because, you know, I want to have some say. Yeah.
Yeah. That's their like main project.
Yeah. But Lily Wachowski did not come back. So it's just Lana. And so there's some like, they literally name drop Warner Brothers in the film as like their corporate overlord that's like trying to make them reboot The Matrix without like them really wanting to.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of dropped though once we actually get into like the core Matrix story of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clearly set up to like have more. Like they've established a new status quo afterwards. Like obviously Neo's back because, you know, he's in the trailers and you can't have a Matrix without Neo and Trinity. They like did something interesting with Morpheus. And the new characters were kind of cool, but like overall, meh. It's all right. It's good. I don't think it's like groundbreaking. I don't think new Matrix is gonna blow anybody's minds. And like if you haven't seen a Matrix film before and you're going to this one, it's not gonna make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, which movie series peaks at number 4, especially if it's number 4 to set up like another continuance of movies? Like I'm losing interest just hearing about that.
Yeah.
If this was like a grand finale conclusion, they'd be like, okay, maybe that's worth my time. Yeah. But if this is set up for more Matrix movies,
no, because like the third one, like Revolutions, was basically a grand finale conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Like things ended, people died.
Yeah.
And like you were like, okay, that's it, that's done. But no, they continue.
No. Turns out we got some more Matrixes up our sleeve. Yeah.
That's why, I mean, like the Resurrections is very on the nose because they straight up like resurrect Neo and Trinity. And so like, yeah, it's weird.
Oh, Matrix. It's action series.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're going to see more of them, and I probably just going to get progressively worse.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah, but yeah, that wraps up for me.
Nice.
Well, let's get into the actual movie we're going to talk about today. Of course, season 1 of Snubs and Dubs is covering the films from the years 1996, and so for episode 21, we're talking about Sling Blade. Some call it a Sling Blade.
Well, we call it a Kaiser blade.
Had you heard of this one before?
No, I've never heard of anything about this movie before. Have you?
No.
You own it.
I do own
suspicious.
Well, this was one of those another difficult to find / watch. It's like not on any streaming services here. And this, unlike Shine, had like a reasonably priced Blu-ray. So that was like, okay, well, we'll just buy that and we can actually watch it. But even like in my research, like obviously, as you can see on the cover of the Blu-ray that I lent to you, it has some Academy Award wins.
Yeah, it's really proud of that.
Yeah.
It slaps it right on there.
Yeah, and so that was, I think, what slipped it in. It's also well reviewed. So, but otherwise, I had not known anything about it. But yeah, that's my relationship with it.
Like well, now you own it. So.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. If you were interested in Sling Blade or the play / short film it's based on, I don't think there's any physical media related to that, but if you're interested in Sling Blade, I've included the links to the physical media related to it in the show notes. If you buy through that link, it'll help out our show, or if you have any other Amazon shopping to do, follow the general link and it'll help out our show in the process. Reminder that this is going to be a spoiler-filled conversation, so if you haven't seen Sling Blade yet and you want to, go ahead and do so, but without further ado, we're just going to get into it. Karl Childers is released from the mental hospital where he has spent most of his life after murdering his mother and her lover. He soon forms a bond with Frank, a boy whose father committed suicide. When Frank's mother, Linda, lets Karl stay at their house, her cruel boyfriend Doyle tries to get Karl removed. Determined to protect his friend, Karl devises a way to save Frank from years of Doyle's abuse. Sling Blade is written and directed by Billy Bob Thornton and is based on the play/short film Some Folks Call It a Sling Blade by Billy Bob Thornton. It stars Billy Bob Thornton as Karl Childers, Dwight Yoakam as Doyle Hargraves, J.T. Walsh as Charles Bushman, John Ritter as Vaughn Cunningham, Lucas Black as Frank Wheatley, Natalie Canerday as Linda Wheatley, James Hampton as Jerry Woolridge, and Robert Duvall as Karl's father. It has a runtime of 135 minutes and released on November 27th of 1996. Jason, what did you think of Sling Blade?
Kyle, I really do not care for Sling Blade.
Okay.
I did not have a fun time with this one. What did you think of Sling Blade?
I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was like anything like amazing.
No.
There was like some like nice emotional moments in there that I kind of liked, but overall, like it didn't blow my mind in any sense or capacity.
Okay, I'm gonna rag on this a lot. It's just so boring. Nothing happens in this movie. Like I'm fine with a slow movie, but I felt like there was never at any point any real payoff. Because there were a couple emotional moments, but they just all fell flat because the overarching story was so long and boring.
Yeah.
I can't believe this was 135 minutes. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. They really stretched it out. And it kind of felt like a play at some points.
Yeah.
Like once I knew it was a
absolutely.
play, like you could kind of see that it was a play in like the way that there was the sets were laid out and like the way that scenes were written, just having characters already in the room. There wasn't a lot of movement from place to place other than like occasionally some walking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't necessarily get the acclaim.
I don't either, because I looked up a little bit about it afterwards. Because whenever I watch something and either I really like it or I really don't like it, I want to learn more about it. And this was I really don't like this movie and I want to learn more about it. And it felt like, because the shots were kind of boring throughout the movie. Like all the outside shots are just like still small capture of just like Karl and Frank sitting on the dirt.
Yeah.
And like that's the shot for a lot of the movie. And it's just so boring. And things are so static. There's never really any movement. You start off in a place and the scene will take place entirely in that one location.
Yeah.
And then we'll go somewhere else after that.
Yeah.
Like it's just so boring.
It is. And I also found it extremely predictable.
Yeah.
I like the ending to me was no shock at all. And I thought they might be able to do something, at least somewhat surprising. No. But like it's basically set up from the beginning. As soon as he meets this boy, quick spoilers, that he's going to kill his stepdad at the end.
Oh, yeah. You know that immediately.
Yeah.
It's not hard to figure out.
No.
And then they spend another 100 minutes setting up the scene for it.
Yeah.
All of it unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. And like meeting these characters and like making some commentary on how, being gay is okay. And like you can have a friend with, disabilities and that's cool too. But like,
I found this did so much more harm to like gay people and people who are living with mental disability than anything else. Cause like Vaughn, who is the gay character, is only ever really a victim in this. He never has an empowering moment where he overcomes anything.
No.
He has some moments where he has like a normal sense of life, but even then it's constantly plagued by people calling him gay, referencing the fact that he's gay or something along those lines. So he never has like even a moment of peace.
Yeah.
He just can't find one. And I really, really dislike the entire character of Karl. I get that like it started off as a play and I think there is an interesting character in that, but the entire trajectory they put Karl on to me is so damaging where he is mentally disabled, but only in ways that are convenient for the plot and don't get in the way of forming any kind of relationship with people. Because it's never an issue that he has with connecting to people. It's never an issue for his employment. It's just a vehicle to get him to kill people. Like I really hate that about it. Yeah. And it's also another one like A Time to Kill where it's like, killing people is okay. Yeah. Where it just completely justifies killing someone who's, he's an abusive piece of shit. Yeah. But this movie is like, we are going to tell you right now that we are going to have someone who's mentally disabled kill someone who's abusive, and there's no comment being made on that. It's just for entertainment, baby. Yeah. Give us some big Hollywood bucks. Anyways, we'll get into the plot. Let's get into the plot. Okay. Yeah. I'm so glad I was able to pass this off to you. Anger wrote a lot of this. But I did try and make it pretty fair. So I'm going to try and like have an unbiased plot breakdown that doesn't really rag on the movie too much.
Cool.
So the movie starts with a squealing chair being pulled along the ground, creating a loud and annoying squealing sound that feels like it goes on forever, which exactly captures how awful this overdrawn, painful squeal of a movie is going to feel for the next 2 hours of your goddamn life.
What happened to being unbiased?
Made it almost a sentence. I made it to the first pair. The first comma, I was pretty fair.
Yeah.
There was a chair being dragged around. The chair is being drugged by one inmate in a state mental institution who is going over to regale one of the other patients there about his transphobic, homophobic, and generally all-around phobic backstory of his crimes. This story bathed itself in enjoyment of saying edgy, offensive dialogue for shock value, and will be just the first time of many that this movie bathes in being offensive without any greater reason. Just then, 2 young journalism students walk in, looking to interview soon-to-be-released inmate Karl. These 2 young women, who constitute 50% of the female cast that have any dialogue in this movie, are able to get a brief interview with Karl, who doesn't want to take questions, have photos, or sit in any amount of light beyond a lamp. The interview turns into a monologue where Karl tells one of the students the story of how he was mistreated as a child by the other school kids, how he grew up in a hole in the dirt in the shed, and how he used a sling blade, but he called that a Kaiser blade, to kill one of the neighborhood boys who he had thought was raping his mother, but when he finds out that his mother was consensually sleeping with the boy, he then killed his mother too. Karl then allows the student to ask him one question, if she has any, which she uses as an opportunity to ask if he believes he'll kill anybody ever again. Karl reckons he doesn't have any reason to. With the interview ended, Karl is now a free man, and a bus drops him off in a small Arkansas town where he grew up. After wandering around for a while, he ends up at a fast food joint, and with the help of the server is able to order himself a large fries. During this conversation, Karl talks to another man with people around, is able to field a variety of questions, and is in bright daylight, which makes you maybe wonder what the point of limiting all those things during the interview was. Like, it had no reason to. He had no issues whatsoever, so what was the point of doing all of that?
I think that's exactly how it was in the play.
Yeah, because I think that monologue was the bones of the meat of the play.
Yeah.
And then they built a movie around that.
Well, yeah,
I'm not
sure. I just think that was like probably clear cut from the play.
Yeah.
Like I could imagine, Billy Bob Thornton sitting in a chair next to a lamp on a stage and just him alone, just like doing this monologue to set up the entire movie basically and give him his backstory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was probably just ripped straight out of there and just thrown in there.
Oh yeah, that was just kind of chucked in there without.
Yeah. I think there was some stretching though, because the short film that also came out before this is only like half an hour long. So I think because I read on Wikipedia that it was a play, and then I saw on IMDb that there was a short film, and so I think they made a short film off of the play and then made a full film off of the short film / play.
Yeah. There's probably some, maybe to get funding for the movie, he had to make a short about it or something like that.
Yeah, like a bottle rocket situation.
Yeah, probably something like that. Because I imagine like they probably, because like I'm not going to necessarily hate Billy Bob Thornton's performance in this. I think it's an interesting character that he creates in a way. I hate the usage of the character, but the character itself, I think like there's something there and there's a story to be told about Karl. So like I kind of see where that came from, but it must have been like he had this whole monologue set up around, because that's what it was called too, like the Sling Blade.
Yeah.
Some call it a Sling Blade.
Some call it a Sling
Clearly,
Blade.
like this monologue was a big part of that. And they probably turned that into a short and then got the steam to make it into a movie afterwards.
Yeah, probably.
Turned it into a way too long from a short. Anyways, Karl eats his fries outside a laundromat where he runs into a young boy named Frankie, struggling to carry 4 large bags of clothes back home. Karl offers to help carry the bags back with Frankie, and the two strike up a quick friendship. On the way home, Frankie asks Karl why he's carrying all those books around, and Karl says, I ain't got nowhere to put them down. I think that was the one enjoyable moment I had in the movie. I thought that was just a good line. It's like, oh, fucking amen, brother. You got nowhere to put them. That's why you're carrying them. Karl returns to the mental institution and asks to be reinstated since he has no resources or anywhere to go. And instead of turning this into a statement about the lack of restorative justice that is ever performed by the penal system, Karl instead is immediately saved by good old American capitalism and is given a place to work and a place to sleep at a mechanic shop ran by a friend of the prison warden. Instead of this movie being any kind of commentary on how society cares for disadvantaged people or people struggling with mental disabilities, Karl has labor to offer in the mechanic shop and is able to immediately settle into this new town without any issue, and immediately is a bright mechanic and generally well-adjusted citizen just 2 days removed from a mental institution where he spent a great deal of his formative years and adulthood.
Yeah.
What was the point of this movie? Like at this point, we're like 30 minutes in, maybe.
Yeah.
And I pause it. I'm like, what is the point of this movie right now?
Yeah.
What are we telling a story about? Because all the things that this could have been about, the good this could have done to be a commentary about like people with mental disabilities, especially people with mental disabilities who spent time in state institutions.
Yeah.
There's a really good story to tell in there. And all of that skimmed over just to have a mentally disabled character with no reason to be there. Like, what? Why are we here? I didn't like this movie.
I feel like that might have been added too. Like, I think if you were to trim that down, you'd have just like had the person that helps him set up the job and the place to stay afterwards. Mm-hmm. Just as soon as he leaves the hospital, just have that set it up.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would make more sense.
Yeah,
but
no.
Well, Karl returns to visit Frankie at his house and gets brought to the town dollar store to meet Frankie's mom, Linda, and her friend and manager, Vaughn. Linda immediately offers Karl a place to stay in her garage that will be an upgrade on the cotton toilet he has at the mechanic shop, so Karl obviously agrees and moves his books in that afternoon. Frank and Karl hang out for the rest of the afternoon, where through an exposition dump we learn that Linda has a deadbeat boyfriend, Doyle, that has been physically and emotionally abusive to Linda and Frank. Frank wishes sometimes that Doyle would die, and when you see the twinkle in the eye of Karl, you can kind of piece together what is going to happen at the climax of the movie. You can either skip ahead now or just turn it off. Not one single event is going to happen on the way there.
Yeah. This movie is like really bad for a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They anytime they're in the woods, they're like, all right, audience, we have something to tell you. Yeah. Listen up. Here's the notes. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not well crafted. But you know what? I didn't hate Frankie's performance.
No,
I thought he was actually one of the saving moments of the movie. He was a good kid actor.
He was a good kid, yeah.
Anyways, we cut to a scene with Doyle using a dictionary of slurs against a wide swath of minority groups and disadvantaged people, so that he's a real stinker. At this point, Karl and Vaughn come over for dinner, and we learn from a series of continuously self-indulgent homophobic remarks that Vaughn is gay. Doyle goes on to bully everyone at the house. Everyone leaves, and in case you haven't figured out that Doyle's a real jerk yet, we'll have another hour and 40 minutes to really soak that in. The next day, Vaughn takes Karl out for lunch to explain to him that Vaughn is gay, that he cares for Frank and Linda a lot, and that Doyle is a monster. Do you get it yet? Doyle is a bad person. Did you notice how much Doyle sucks? What? Not yet. Well, good news, because we cut back to Linda's house where Doyle is a jackass during dinner and invites his friends over for a band practice. When Doyle's buddies come over, they play a crappy rock song that doesn't actually finish and just kind of slowly falls apart, which is actually a really relatable part of the movie. We've been there. Back inside, Doyle gets drunk, yells abuse at his friends, and demands that they leave. Then he lays hands on Linda and Frank. Frank throws everything not bolted down at Doyle, and that eventually gets him out the door. No one gets much sleep that night, and Karl asks for Linda to make him some biscuits and mustard, his favorite meal. The next day, Vaughn throws a big dinner for himself and his partner, Randy, Linda, Frank, Karl, and Melinda, a woman from the dollar store who they're trying to set up with Karl. Karl and Melinda get sent for a nice walk that night. And the next day, Melinda comes to visit Karl and gives him a bouquet of flowers before leaving to never be mentioned again or have any impact on Karl or anyone else at any point in the story.
No.
It's hard to stress just how zero effect her character and actions had on anyone in particular.
That's another scene or collection of scenes that I feel were added.
It had to have been.
Just to fluff things out. That whole dinner scene at Vaughn's to the point where he gets the flowers given to him. Entirely fluff, I think. Yeah.
And like, because it just kind of hard cuts to both of those.
Yeah.
There's nothing used there that's ever referenced again. They didn't even bother following up Linda.
No.
Like, this movie didn't need more material in it.
No.
That night, Karl tells Frank about how his mother gave birth to his younger brother prematurely, and how he had to bury the still live child in a shoebox in the garden. Speaking of little babies, we go back to Doyle making up to Linda by promising to stay at the house more. Frank and Karl come back in from playing football to see this, and Doyle brings them in to include them in the apology by dropping more insults and slurs at them, just so the audience picks up on the subtle fact that Doyle is bad. The next day, Karl goes to visit his childhood home, where he reminisces on the hole in the ground he slept in, visits his father, who denies knowing him, and stops at the makeshift grave that he built for his dead brother. That night, Karl walks into Linda and Doyle's bedroom with a hammer and asks to be baptized. That Sunday, he then gets baptized with Linda and Frank in the audience. They all come home to Doyle, giving Linda some money to go run off and grab them all some chicken, while he has a man-to-man talk with Frank and Karl. Of course, in this man talk, it's just Doyle being abusive to Frank, and when Karl stops Doyle from hitting him, Doyle demands that he moves his things out of Linda's garage, and Karl obliges. On Karl's way out, he runs into Linda, where he thanks her for all the hospitality and reminds her how much she means to Frank, and vice versa. Karl then finds Frank in the woods and gifts him all his books and tells Frank to take himself and his mother to Vaughn's place for the night. They share a tender moment, and then Karl goes to Vaughn's place to ask him to take in Linda and Frank for the evening, and also passes on a brown paper bag with all the money he had made working at the mechanic shop. Frank then goes to the garage to sharpen a lawnmower blade, goes to Linda's house to find Doyle, asks him how to call 911, but not for me, and murders Doyle with a lawnmower blade. After calling the police on himself, Karl eats one last biscuit and mustard and gets sent back to the institution. The end. Thank God.
Yeah, the one scene that I kind of liked was that moment before when he meets Frank in the woods, and he's like, "I'm gonna put my arm around you."
Yeah,
and that was like the one kind of nice bit. I liked that a little bit, and I thought that afterwards, the scene where he kind of tells Vaughn to like basically take care of them, and you know, a gay man can take care of a family.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like that was okay. And they I honestly thought he was gonna say, you better call an ambulance, but not for me.
Yeah.
Because like Doyle says that he's like, you better call an ambulance, or like a hearse.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna try and fight him, or that he wasn't going to, or he didn't believe that Karl was actually gonna kill him.
Yeah, that would be cooler if there was like some kind of struggle maybe, or if Vaughn just didn't sit there while getting murdered, or if Doyle didn't just sit there while getting murdered.
Yeah.
Well, man,
no.
What was the point of that?
He just sat there and took the lawnmower blade to the head. Just bonk, done. That was it. And then Karl eats some biscuits and then gets, I guess, arrested, goes back to the state hospital.
That's it.
Yeah.
The saving grace of this movie, the only parts I enjoyed were when Frankie were on screen.
Yeah.
I did think that Karl and Frankie actually had a pretty good relationship, and that does make for some interesting parts of the movie, seeing like Karl be sweet and like a friend / father figure to this young boy. Even though he has like these social roadblocks with his mental disability, but it doesn't get used for anything other than that.
Yeah.
But it still makes it for at least some enjoyable parts of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know what else to say about this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, there's like not much, there's not enough going on that like I really liked to really to continue to like say about.
Yeah. And even with the scene when he goes back to his father's place, I just don't see the point in it, because he says,
no point. Yeah.
Like, oh, my father doesn't want to see me. Understandable. You killed your mother / his wife. I get that.
Yeah.
So then he goes to visit his father and he doesn't want to see him.
Yeah. No.
And it's like, there was no arc to this. No one progresses through anything.
No.
Even like Linda and maybe Frankie has some kind of character progression, maybe, but he's still scared of Doyle the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's only solved by Karl killing him.
Yeah.
Frankie doesn't have any character development. Linda's just kind of shown to be like, though a good mother who tries really hard and has a supportive boy, she also is a victim the whole time. She never does anything about Doyle. And the one time that he leaves, he comes back as it's like, which happens in the circle of abuse, but it never shows her really overcoming that, because they just have Karl kill him to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And just kind of use Karl's mental disability as a plot device for murder. I think that's just so gross. Like, I really, really hate that.
Yeah. And it's like probably a horrible lesson to Frank too.
Oh yeah.
Because like, oh yeah, if I have, an abusive situation in the future, just grab a lawnmower blade.
Yeah, just kill the guy.
Yeah.
That's what my character was written to do. So
yeah. And then like the whole baby brother, like Karl having to basically bury a prematurely born baby brother. Like, sad and all, but obviously added.
Yeah.
Just for sympathy's sake.
I guess, but he's already a pretty sympathetic character. Yeah. Like, you already like Karl quite a bit by the point that he brings in the dead baby brother.
Yeah, because that was just like thrown in like the middle of the movie.
The only references are when they explain what happened and when he visited the grave at his father's place, which is also probably something that was just chucked in.
Yeah.
Because that's another scene that happens where it's not really tied to what was going on before or after.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of pick apart. I mean, I would be interested to watch the short film after just to see what really was there. But I would be interested to see like what parts were picked out as like additional scenes, because you can almost tell just by watching the movie as a whole. But
you can pick it out pretty easily. Yeah, I don't even really know what else to bring to the table on this.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know that we'll get to reviews later, but it's
Yeah.
crazy how highly reviewed this is.
I know,
it's
right?
insane.
Yeah. What did you think of Billy Bob Thornton in this role?
I mean, I thought like he created what could be an interesting character, and I thought he executed that character well. It was just like a poorly written story around him that didn't have like a good ending. But like I don't think the bones are there of something cooler, that for sure. And the bones are there of something like a more interesting and worthwhile story that wasn't really limited by his performance at all. I thought he did fine.
Yeah, I thought he did fine too, actually. He does this like these things with his hands where he's just kind of like constantly moving. And I thought that like, I think he paid decent enough attention to detail of what people who actually suffer from these disabilities, like how they kind of act and how he twists his head and, you know, avoids kind of eye contact for the most part.
I thought he had good timing too, where he kind of lingers on things longer than like the average person would.
Yeah.
So I think that was like, that was a good point of that.
Yeah.
His performance, Frankie's performance was good. And none of the other actors really blew me away with anything that they did. They're pretty simple part. Not even simple parts, just like they didn't have that much dialogue. I found the scene with Karl leaving and talking to Linda. I found like Linda's part when that was like kind of weak. She seemed like she didn't understand what was happening. In that scene.
I think he could clue a little bit. Yeah. But no. Well, it's obviously the Billy Bob Thornton show because he wrote, directed, and starred in this movie, and he wrote the play and short film that it was based on before, and has starred in this role. So, like, obviously, this is his baby, type of thing. And I think he had some sort of personal connection to the character or to the the story in some way, somewhat biographical or autobiographical. But yeah, I think like his performance is maybe the only thing that was like worth mentioning, which is like interesting because they, you can tell by the fucking cover of this Blu-ray, it won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
That's what. There's no screenplay here. Nothing happens.
Yeah. Strange. Well, do you want to hear what people thought about it?
Yeah, let's hear what people thought about it.
Yeah, you said it's very highly reviewed. Do you have any numbers?
I don't. I saw the Rotten Tomato one.
Yeah.
So that was like 90s,
It's
I think.
96 for critics and 92 for audience.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know about IMDb and Metacritic. I assume they may both be pretty high as well, following along that.
Yeah. IMDb is an 8. Metacritic is an 84.
That's crazy.
So very high.
Yeah. I don't know how. I'm actually curious to go through and read reviews just to see like how they thought highly of this movie.
Yeah. This is also a post Forrest Gump movie.
That's true. That kind of changes the scene.
Yeah. And it was only a few years before because it was in 94 that Forrest Gump came out. And so this is like, 2 years after Forrest Gump. So interesting.
This is just such like a theater movie. Every single part of this feels like a theater kid who's now grown up into like a theater adult and is clearly very capable and talented. Wrote this because it just doesn't have any movie parts.
No,
it's not a movie.
Directing is pretty boring.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, sorry.
It made $34 million on a budget of $4.8 million.
That's a pretty good return.
Yeah. It actually landed at 60th for the year. So
yeah, for a small budget movie, that's not a bad return.
No.
They went out and got money, unfortunately, and probably empowered this kind of movie to keep existing.
And I think it was even pretty highly regarded in the 2020 hindsight awards that were in 2017.
Man, because this is a movie that does not age very well.
I don't think so either.
Like, maybe at the time I could see that. I think socially this would be less of an issue, but now like if you're going to use a bunch of slurs throughout the movie and make a movie about a mentally disabled person, have a reason for that.
Yeah.
Have some kind of like message to take away or some kind of good service done to the character, which this movie never does.
No.
So I can't believe the hindsight was good too. The hindsight is don't do this.
Yeah. Well, the Snubs and Dubs award / ranking is really what's going to matter. So
I'm glad. This is the one that cuts them down with it.
Let's do our ranking then.
Yeah.
What would you score this on enjoyment?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't enjoy this at all. At any, maybe one or two moments were fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a 1.5 for enjoyment.
That's pretty bad.
It's pretty unenjoyable in my opinion.
Oh.
What are you giving this?
I think I'm going to go 2.5.
2.5.
Full point up, but
That's fair.
yeah, still middle of the road on that.
The Kraft single slice.
Do you want to go or do you?
I can go.
Sure.
Not great.
No.
This one I will give a 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some things that were fine.
Yeah.
A lot of it was less than fine, and maybe they should have had someone more experienced with making movies on the team.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe somebody else should have directed this because somebody else directed the short film. It wasn't Billy Bob Thornton that directed the short film. So maybe he was just like, oh, I've seen it done. I can do it now.
Yeah, I've seen a short film be done.
Yeah.
All I got to do is make it longer by adding a couple scenes.
Yeah, I think it just like lacked some of the flavor, some excitement, some interesting shots.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm also going to go 2.5.
Mm-hmm. This seems like
middle of the road.
Your average movie can do this.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
No. Execution, acting or writing.
2.5, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe even no, I'm going to give this a 2.
Yeah.
The writing was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an interesting story that happens in here, and no one on screen saves that at all.
No.
But I don't know. Carl's not the worst character. Billy Bob Thornton does a good job acting him. Frankie was good.
Yeah.
That will save this to a 2.
Yeah. I think that's what's saving me to a 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Because those performances were really quite good. But yeah, the writing, sometimes not the best.
No.
No. Lastly, Re-Watchability.
I don't want to see this again. I will never watch this again.
Yeah,
what's the lowest? 0.5 or what's our scale?
I guess you could probably do a 0.
Well, I'm doing a 0.
Okay.
Then. I'm not going to watch this movie.
Sure.
And if anyone at any point in my life has this on, before walking out, will give them some sage advice that they might want to watch something better than that.
Yeah.
But then I will walk out and make sure that I watch as little as possible.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go 1.
1, yeah.
Just like a 1. Yeah.
Well, there's our scores. Kyle, you have given this an 8.5 out of 20 for a 43%.
Yikes.
I have given this a 6 out of 20 for a 30%.
Oh, extra yikes.
Which, that's the same. That's what I give Marvin's Room.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
just when you thought you were going to have a movie that was as bad or worse than Marvin's Room.
Just when I
Here
thought.
we are.
Yeah. All right, Kyle. Should I just give you your bottom 5 ranking?
Yeah, sure.
Is it going to be in there?
Like when we were talking about Bound, it was like, just give me the top 5.
Yeah.
This one, just give me the bottom 5. Yeah.
So your bottom 5 is A Time to Kill, Breaking the Waves, Lone Star, Happy Gilmore, Marvin's Room.
I think it's just above Marvin's Room.
Yeah.
Second last. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to own this movie forever.
You have given your hard-earned money. You've traded your labor for cash, and then taken cash, a representation of hours of your finite lifetime, and traded it in for Sling Blade, and then spent more time watching it.
Oh God! I'm so glad that I was able to drop this movie off to you. A little behind the scenes, essentially, because we had the Blu-ray. I was either going to have to watch this basically 3 times because I would have had to do the plot by having it. So I would have watched it once to watch it twice to do the plot, and then you were going to have to come over, watch this movie with me, and then do the episode right after. So 3 times. Could you imagine?
I wouldn't want to ever do that to you, Kyle.
I might have left the room when you were in here watching it the 3rd time.
I wouldn't have blamed you. Oh my God.
Fuck. Yeah, no, thank you.
All right.
What about you? Where's your ranking?
Well, my bottom 5 are A Time to Kill, Shine, Happy Gilmore, The People vs. Larry Flint, and Marvin's Room. And God damn it, Kyle, I don't know which one's worse. It's a race to the bottom. I think where I sit on this.
Okay.
Marvin's Room and Sling Blade are as bad of movies. They are equally bad movies. But Sling Blade, I think, does damage to particular groups of people, and that has to make it be worse. Marvin's Room doesn't offend anyone other than just being a shitty movie. It's not mean to anyone.
I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in that movie does end up in a mental hospital as well.
Yeah, but he gets a better arc out of it because
Yes.
he has some kind of like redemption. He becomes a better person throughout the series of this movie.
Yeah.
No one changes in Sling Blade. So I didn't think I'd ever do this, but I'm going to put a movie below Marvin's Room.
Oh my God. It's happening.
Marvin's Room, you've been salvaged.
Big things happened in the last 3 episodes because you opened your heart and let Bound go all the way to number 1. And at the bottom here, you opened the gates of hell to your heart and just reached in a little bit further.
Yeah.
Just to play Sling Blade.
What a transition. In back-to-back weeks, I have my number 1 and number last movie.
I mean, we did talk about Shine in between.
Oh, we did talk about Shine in between. Forgettable.
It speaks about Shine, doesn't it? How forgettable.
My favorite, my most forgettable, and my least favorite.
Yeah.
All in a row. Oh, Sling sucks.
Did you want to hear what people thought on Letterboxd about this movie?
I'm scared they're gonna love it, but yes, let's hear what they have to say.
It was actually another one of those where it was really hard to find because people also wrote essays on this movie, and there was a lot of people that really liked this movie, including Matthew, who gave it 4.5 stars on a rewatch. They said this movie makes me want French fried potatoes.
Yeah,
it
makes me want anything other than this movie. A rewatch.
Yeah, on a rewatch.
God, only the strongest among us can truly rewatch Sling Blade.
And then after searching the highest, the most activity ones for maybe 5-6 pages, I just went to the bottom and ranked by lowest reviews, and that's when I actually found some of the funny stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a 1 star by Travis. He says, my dad traumatized me as a child by chasing me and yelling at me in Karl's voice. I haven't seen this movie.
Oh my God. Well, I'm glad to see some soldiers out there giving this bad reviews anyways. Bring it down.
2 stars on a watched by Blandware. A learning disabled man teaches a 14-year-old boy how murder is okay sometimes.
Yeah. There's no moral to this story that's any good.
No. Yeah. That's basically all I could find. I just stopped looking because
it's not worth your time.
No, the creativity in this was not the strongest.
Yeah. There's still probably better writing in the essay reviews of this thing than there was in the movie.
Probably. Awards. I think we kind of know a little bit about this already.
Yeah.
It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards. Best Actor in a Leading Role for Billy Bob Thornton, and Best Writing Screenplay based on material previously produced or published, also Billy Bob Thornton. It won the Best Writing Screenplay based on material previously produced or published. I'm so glad they changed that to Best Adapted Screenplay. Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's a mouthful.
Can't believe. Also, it seems weird that it's based on itself.
Yeah.
It was just based on a smaller part of it. I think, especially because it was the monologue was the origins of this.
Yeah.
It seems weird to say that this was based on something else when it's all movies are based on the rough draft of that movie. So,
well, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where I think this happens quite a bit. Whiplash was one that was also, they made a short film of it.
Yeah.
And then they had to, they could only put it up for Best Adapted Screenplay because the full movie was based technically on a short film that was a proof of concept of the movie. So
yeah,
strange ways that
I get
works.
it. I don't really care that much at the end of the day. It's fine. Whatever. Yeah. I just hate Sling Blade.
Yeah.
I'm taking out on the Academy right now.
Some other notable awards. It won the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Screenplay, also Best Adapted Screenplay. And it won the Saturn Award for Best Performance by a Younger Actor for Lucas Black for Frank.
You know what? That one's deserved. That one I'm happy with.
Mm-hmm. That one, rest, yeah, he was good. He was good.
Yeah, every other award nomination, throw it into the garbage can. But young little Frankie boy, he was good.
Yeah, he was good. It also won the Film Independent Spirit Award for Best First Feature for Billy Bob Thornton. So this is his first go at it.
Fine. This is a directorial debut.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We had better directorial debuts in this year, though.
Yeah, Bound.
Yeah.
Hello, 2 weeks ago. Episode 18. Are you kidding me? Oh, no, that was 19.
Yeah.
Episode 19. Are you kidding me? Go watch that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of the best acclaim I could find. It was nominated for a bunch in that Hindsight 2020 Awards, but it didn't win, I think. It didn't win anything. But
Yeah,
I think
at least
it
it
was,
got the noms.
Yeah. Oh, I had a fun fact here. So it was actually only the second film not nominated for Best Picture to win Best Adapted Screenplay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Probably because it was worst picture.
Yeah. Speaking of interesting, I got interesting facts.
Oh, let's hear them. Bring them out.
Billy Wilder once told Billy Bob Thornton that he was too ugly to be an actor.
Okay, that's not Billy Bob's fault.
And that Billy Bob Thornton should write a screenplay for himself where he could exploit his less than perfect features. After this movie launched Billy Bob Thornton's career, he publicly discussed his conversation with Billy Wilder, which was at a cocktail party where he was working as a waiter. Billy Bob Thornton got a call from Billy Wilder, who invited him over to his house. Wilder said that he didn't recall their conversation, but was glad that he heeded his advice. As a gift, Wilder gave Thornton a paperback copy of this movie's script with his autograph and a personal message inscribed on it. So
That's kind of nice. That's a wicked burn, though.
yeah, well, I mean, it burnt the fire under his ass to actually write this movie and get it made and start his career. So good for you, Billy Wilder. Starting careers by being rude.
Although if Billy Wilder is responsible for any percentage of this movie, then I hate him. I wouldn't want that on my conscience.
Yeah. Here's another fact. When Doyle tells Linda that retards, a word that's used a lot in this movie, make him sick, and adds that the same is true for antique furniture and midgets, Billy Bob Thornton has been quoted as saying that those two things are his phobias, both antique furnitures and midgets. So,
oh, well, you know what? Another reason to dislike good old Billy Bob, you bigoted jerk.
So not only did he put a little bit of himself in maybe Karl, but also he put a little bit of himself in the worst person in this movie.
Yeah.
Doyle. Wonderful. Lastly, in order to make his walk more awkward and consistent, Billy Bob Thornton placed crushed glass in his shoes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
that's
about the equivalent experience as watching this movie.
That's good. So. But he's so good at emulating all the other parts. You couldn't just watch. You couldn't just see how people walk and emulate that. He had to glass himself. I'm glad he did that. He deserved that.
He deserved that. Oh, do you have any other final thoughts on Sling Blade?
I will find the name of everyone who gave this a positive review, and I will loudly tisk at you and not forgive you. And that is my thoughts on Sling Blade.
Yeah, I think my final thoughts have already exited my brain, as this movie will promptly do once I publish this episode.
This makes me want to get like super blackout drunk and hope that maybe I can. This makes me want to like Arrested Development, like Forget Me Now this whole movie. Yeah. But no, well.
Oh well. I want to thank you guys all for listening to season 1, episode 21 of Snubs and Dubs. As always, you can find us everywhere on social media at Snubs and Dubs. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Letterboxd, etc. We're also on Good Pod, so make sure to check us out there and join our official Discord. We would love to hear you guys' thoughts on Sling Blade or on this episode. So please send us a tweet or a message with a question, recommendation, or anything else. Let us know if you loved Sling Blade, because we'd love to.
Because I just have some questions for you. I'm not going to be mean. I just need to know how and why.
Yeah. I'm also at Kyle Tobiasson on Twitter, and Jason is at Windy_Mills. Of course, all of those links are going to be in the show notes. Make sure to leave a 5-star review, then share the show, and check back next week for another episode. Here's a sneak peek of the film we're going to talk about.
Who's his father? His father is in the arts.
You do an eclectic celebration of the dance. You do Fosse, Fosse, Fosse. You do Martha Graham, Martha Graham, Martha Graham. Or Madonna, Madonna, Madonna. But you keep it all inside.
What does the mother do? She's a housewife.
Oh, I could play it straight?
That's right. Next time we're talking about The Birdcage, so make sure to watch it before the next episode. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.